Well, guys, you may or may not have heard of that Snickers ad, which says, "You wouldn't like me or you're not yourself when you're hungry." And today I want to talk about a tool that me and my wife practiced for like 30 something years, which has been a huge benefit to our marriage. So hopefully today you'll leave with a great tip which will help you grow in your marriage. Welcome aboard to the Finding Traction podcast.
Ready?
When it comes to porn, are you stuck, spinning out, or slipping backwards in your life? If so, then welcome to the Finding Traction podcast, a show dedicated to those who are looking to gain recovery momentum away from porn and toward the life and relationships they have always hoped for. Now, here's your host, Vern Tomke.
Well, guys, today we're going to talk about a great marriage tip. I'm going to interview my friend Jim, and we're going to talk through some of these tools and how it's helped him in his marriage. But before that, let me just say this. If you're looking for some great recovery resources, I want to encourage you to go to the website bandofbrothers.care, and there's a tab called Free Stuff. And on there, it will give you a link of how to get access to my brand new Circle community, which has this whole weekly planning tool. It has check-in tools. It has a variety of tools that will help you in your recovery. So I want to encourage you to do that. Once again, my email is bandofbrothers.care@gmail.com. Well, I am so happy today to invite my friend Jim on the podcast. We're going to talk about his marriage today. So just what him and his wife would love to hear for the whole world, right, Jim?
Yeah, that's great. Let's just throw our dirty laundry out there for the whole world to see. But I want to say one thing to play off what you just said is that my wife has told me the best parts of our marriage ever was the time I was in mentorship with you, Vern, and some of the stuff you taught me. I don't know if you know that. I don't know if I ever told you that. She said that's maybe the best parts of our marriage ever so far. So when people are on the fence and wondering, should I do it or not do it? They just email you and you Zoom with them for free. It's just dumb not to do it. I don't know.
Well,
That's what I
thank
tell
you.
my friends. So I just wanted
Well,
to say that.
well, we did come by it honestly because we have taken a number of courses. University of Denver, we got trained through something called PrEP, PREP. And then me and my wife have been to the John Gottman marriage seminars. And we took about, it's a few hundred couples through a 6-week marriage course, and has been a huge benefit to ourselves and coming up with a common vocabulary. So, like a lot of guys like Jim, we started with recovery coaching, and then we quickly morphed into some life coaching and marriage coaching. So that's been the fun stuff. So today we are going to talk about a tool which has been a huge benefit to myself and Susan. Your wife is also this of the same name,
We have the Susans.
the Susans, yeah. And we are going to talk about a tool that we call filters, and it has been absolutely crucial in our marriage to go back. And I don't know, Jim, you're similar to me in terms of the same age. Do you remember those Roku filters that would go on cameras?
Oh, yeah. Like a moon filter.
And what would
You
you
turn
do?
them on. Yeah.
How would they work?
Well, you put them on and you can see the world differently.
Right.
It kind of filters out what you not want to see or what you want to see, or adds what you want to see.
Yeah, they were like these old Pentax cameras or whatever, and you would screw on these really wild
We
filters.
still have that. I still have that.
Do you?
It
Yeah.
provides clarity.
Okay. And some weird effects too, right? You can do fisheye lenses and
Oh,
different
those are
things.
nice.
Yeah, so we're gonna talk about why this concept of a filter is so important in your relationship and in your communication with your wife. So let's go through and talk about what I'm going to kind of put you on the spot. What do you understand to be a relational filter?
To me, a filter is on, it's like, again, like a camera lens for a maximum of 1 day.
Okay.
1 day. If it's on more than that, it becomes a lifestyle. So filters are temporary. So if you're dealing with something else that's lasting longer, it's something else. A filter is a state of being that alters your normal way of presenting yourself and reacting. They're more about you than the other person. Knowing the other person's filters allows you to know their behaviors are not your fault, as it's really them when they are not completely being their normal self. Again, it's temporary, a temporary filter.
So, like that Snickers ad that says, you wouldn't like me or I'm not myself when. So, you're telling me that there's times and seasons and days when you have the normal Susan or the
Yeah,
normal Jim,
yeah, most of the time,
right? It's the normal
but
Vern,
sometimes people get hangry, right? That's a term.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah. And all of
that's
a
a
sudden,
filter.
it's a filter. All of a sudden, there is a filter which takes you out of your normal Jim, your normal self. And now all of a sudden, you're going around, you're perceiving life, you're relating to people like you have a filter on. And it's really important for you to recognize, oh my goodness, I have a filter on right now.
And it's my responsibility to name my filter. It's no one else's responsibility to act differently around me. But it's my responsibility to say, hey, I've got this filter stuck on. Here's what's going on, right?
Because if you don't name your filter, then your wife is going to be thinking all sorts of thoughts like, what did
What
I
did I
do
do
wrong?
wrong?
Yeah. Or if you don't understand your wife's filter at any given time, then you're thinking, well, what did I do wrong? Why is she so angry? Why is she so distant? Why is she, have I screwed
You
up
go into all
somewhere?
those multitude of responses you have, could be anything to it's just something that has nothing to do with you.
Right. And so what happens is we've got really good in our marriage. All of a sudden, it's really funny. I'll pick on my wife. She went shopping the other day and she was trying to buy shoes. And don't you love this? And so she asked about some shoes, and the gal said, okay, well, I'll go and look for you. And then the gal went across the highway and was helping another customer. And it was just like,
Is
well,
this a
what
normal thing in Canada?
I don't know. It's like, well, what happened to my request? And she was immediately ticked. And then she went to another store and she got the same treatment.
Oh, see, it is.
It is. And she came back in a bad mood. And it was just like agitated, ornery, right? And she said to me, I just want you to know I've got an angry shopping experience filter on. And I was like, okay, I'm going to go out in my workshop now, right? But you
I'm
see
really
how
busy. I'm sorry, I got to take this call.
exactly you see how helpful it was because I could have come back and perceived, boy, did I do something wrong or whatever, right?
Yeah, because again, statistically, we always feel like something's our issue, but when you walk into a room, 97% of the time is the actual physical stat. People are thinking about something that has to do with them.
Right. So
Only 3% of the time are they actually thinking about you, and 50% of the time they have some major issue going on, but we
right.
perceive it's all about us. It's really a narcissistic, weird thing.
So it's super helpful. This has been such a breakthrough, such an important thing. So when we met on our coaching call, we meet every couple of weeks, and we were kind of talking about a situation you were going through. And I challenged you. I said, okay, Jim, I want you to come up with 3 to 5 filters that you can put on or life, puts on that affect the way that relate to your wife. So I asked you to come up with 3 to 5. We're going to get to in a minute what you're supposed to do with those, but let's just talk about you identifying them and having some self-awareness as to what those are.
Now, when you challenged me that, I wrote them out, and I had what my filter is, and I wrote my tempting response.
Okay, let's stop there because that why that's important is let's add that to that. So you have your filter, but then you say, this is where in my filter I end up going in a not helpful, a negative way, right?
Yeah, and it's your pattern basically
Right.
until you call it out, and then I make a request. Here's
Okay.
my okay. Here's my filter. Here's my tempting response, and here's my request. And it doesn't come out like that. It's a natural conversation.
Right.
because you've done
Okay.
the hard work up front to be able to step into those spaces.
And why is it important to put it in the uh, framework of a request?
Because it's not their responsibility,
Okay.
you know. I think, I want to make sure that you own your own stuff, right?
As opposed to a demand where you're going, I'm in this filter. I want this from you. I demand this. Or even sometimes this is, we put demands under the word need. I need this from you. But really, needs is another fancy word for I'm demanding this from you.
Yeah. So you make a request, and if it's met, it's not met, whatever. At least you're honest.
Right. Okay, so we're going to walk through four of your filters, and then we're going to come up with a tempting response where you can end up going, and then the requests that you're making from your partner. Okay,
Okay.
let's give it a
So
shot.
my first my first one is sexually agitated. I'm unsettled, and that doesn't mean I need to have sex. It's just I'm just agitated, sexually
Okay.
agitated for whatever reason.
Or it could
It
be
comes up,
aroused. It could be, the classic guy's word horny, whatever that is, some version of that on some spectrum, right?
and every guy I know has that sexual agitation.
Got it.
It
Okay.
doesn't. And so my tempting response when I feel that is to become an ass. Straight up. That's what I want to do. I want to become an ass. It's pretty much my go-to thing.
Right. Okay. And that
Keep
means
people
that you're
away. I
good.
can shut it down. I can power up. I just become an ass. So
Okay. And you're not a pleasant person to be around in that situation.
that's not my best gym.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
And
And the
what's your
request I
request?
have for Susan is like, say, hey, I need more physical touch. It
Right.
doesn't have to be a sexual thing. It just has to be physical touch. Touch me, it slows my brain down. It brings me back. Realizes, hey, this is a filter. It's not, it doesn't have to be lifestyle.
So there's a request there. I would love to cuddle on the couch tonight, or I'd love more touch. Or could it also be, when our schedules allow it, I would love to be sexual with you.
Yeah.
It's a request.
That's funny. I have a friend that sends his wife a calendar request. And then she accepts and it
Okay.
goes on the calendar.
Right.
That's so creative.
Yeah. But it's not a demand. It's a
No,
request. Maybe
yeah,
it's,
it's a meeting.
and this kind of goes back to that podcast I did a few ago, which is I'll die without sex. Do you remember that? Guys,
Yes.
you can wait. We can wait. Actually, we won't explode if we don't have sex today. We can wait.
Or
And our
tomorrow
wives,
or next week. You actually live through it.
yes, it's amazing.
Yeah.
But it's
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 hard to
it's
believe, but it's true.
it's a request that we make for that. Okay, I think most guys are now tracking with you to go, okay, I think I understand that lens. Okay, let's go to the
Okay.
next one.
Fatigue. I just, I push myself in a lot of spaces and sometimes I just get tired, a little
Right?
grumpy. Fatigue, and I'm lower in compassion because I do a lot for people. And
Mhm.
sometimes when I'm tired, I cut that down. And I
Because
just
you're
get
a
my
high energy,
compassion goes low.
you're a high energy guy, but when you're actually moving into fatigue, your kind of telltale sign is your compassion really takes a drop. You don't care.
Huge drop. I'll stop. I just don't. I care for a lot, and I sometimes back off on that.
Okay, so that means my fatigue filter is on. What is your tempting response? What are you
Can you
tempted to go?
guess?
I'm
I become an ass. It's a surprise.
there we go.
I don't know. I guess I can power up and keep people away, and it's just my little thing. I don't know. It's a very comfortable response. I'm a bigger
Right.
guy, and
Got it.
it's a sad thing. Sorry.
Right.
And
But
my request in that
yeah,
is to ask less of me for that moment or that day.
okay.
When I'm overloaded or fatigued, and no, I don't want to say overloaded. That's a different one.
Yeah,
This is when I'm tired,
right.
right? And I get a little grumpy. Just to ask less of me, to recognize that, and to ask less of me that for that moment.
Right.
Doesn't have to necessarily be a day. It could be a moment,
Right.
that day.
Yeah, and that kind of leads to the next one because you got a lot of spinning plates in your life. So the next one for you is what?
Overwhelmed,
Okay.
which is different than being tired because I can be overwhelmed and be full of energy.
Right.
And again, my tempting response is On the time.
It's like I can't imagine.
I know it's surprise. And so when I do that, it's comfortable. I remember Susan would come in. I have a really successful business, and people would I have a ton. And during one season, I would receive maybe I'd send and receive 900 plus emails a day.
Okay.
900 under 1,000. It was rare. One time when I hit 1,000, I wrecked our car. I
Got it.
remember that because I barely ever broke 1,000. It was so funny. I said, "Oh, I got to go do something." I swerved and hit someone next to me. And again, it's a little funny story. Is that
Hmm.
after I was in my wife's car, a minivan, and when I wrecked it, I turned around and go, "Oh, I'm just so glad this isn't my car." It
Oh man.
was so
Oh,
funny. I thought, you got to make joy when you see it. But anyway, my tempting response is that to just become aggressive. And she would come into me when I'm super busy at work and say, "Hey, I need to do this or that or whatever." And I go, more,
right.
you know, this is 901. And so I've learned to kind of just shut up and keep my mouth shut during those times. And my request is to ask again, less of me for that moment or time, but to really, when I'm in that overwhelmed space, help me prioritize what I need to do at that moment in that day.
Right.
I have a lot of demand on my time.
So when you're overwhelmed and you get that honeydew list, it
Ah,
it's just like, oh, you need to do this, and you need to do this, and you need to do this, Jim. And did you do this? And I asked you to do this yesterday. Are you feeling it? Are you feeling it? Are
and
you
I'm a
feeling it?
list person. I will do everything on that list. I'll
Right.
beat
But when you
myself down to do it.
but when you're in that place with that filter on, it's like more.
I
It's like,
actually said that, and it still comes up. And it's funny now. It was not funny then.
no. And in that situation, you might say, I got this filter on. I'm feeling overwhelmed right now. Can you let me know maybe what the most important thing
Yeah, and
is?
I super married up, and my wife has a master's in administration. She has the capacity to handle me and the
Right.
capacity to drive that,
Okay.
and to really make that better. You
Okay.
know,
Well, this last one is interesting because this is the only one that you don't naturally go to being an ass.
I
So,
know it's,
yeah,
I
there's
know,
it's a unique one, but I think a lot of guys who struggle with sexual addictions and porn struggle with this one as well. So let's give the fourth one that and where you go in that
and
place.
I got this from taking that test from the book. You did a podcast on it, the seven things, right?
Seven primal needs,
Seven
right?
primal needs, and you can
Right.
Google seven primal needs. You can see the book, and you can actually take his assessment. And I
Right.
came up as a Q4, so feeling wanted. I struggle with that, and he does such a good. I think it's Mike Foster does such a good job
Right.
describing me.
So,
It's
so just to clarify that the filter is there's things that happen that make you feel unwanted, right?
correct, and that can be a go-to emotion for me that I had to really manage because it came from a not so good place, and I
Right?
realized it's not accurate in my world anymore. But I can easily get comfortable and fit into those shoes again.
Right.
So I have to constantly watch that. That's my job. That's my response to my filter. I have some responsibility in that for sure.
So you now have identified right now that feeling, that filter of I'm feeling unwanted is coming over me. What is the tempting response that you can naturally go to if you just let it happen?
Oh, just I completely self isolate to protect myself. Withdraw, self isolate.
Okay.
People have to really do a bunch of stuff to reach me.
Right.
And I realize that's not their fault. It's not their responsibility. It's really mine. And so my request is in that space when people that are really kind of a brother, people that are really close to me would give me words of affirmation. They're aware of it and they can step into that.
Right.
Say, hey, here's this, you know.
So that can happen. Friends can become aware of that filter on and they can step into that place. Can you share that, for example, with your wife when you're feeling unwanted?
Yeah, when I in a good space for that is, hey, I said I want to have sex and you didn't want to do it. that can drive that unwanted feeling completely.
Right.
And then, oh yeah, well, fine, I don't want to do it anyway, kind of attitude. That's the withdrawal,
Yeah, exactly.
which isn't the truth, but you
Right.
can really make yourself feel that.
Right. So tell me, can you paint a picture for me of as you learn this tool of filters and your wife also learns that tool of filters, how could that affect your communication and your relationship day to day, week to week, when you're both fluid in that language?
Well, it's going to give me insight. For example, one of Susan's filters is we were building a chicken coop and it was a really big chicken coop and it fell on her head and hit her head.
Right.
And she's still recovering from the brain injury.
Right.
And so one of her filters is that she's, oh, my head's filling off, and I know exactly what that means,
Right.
and how to respond to that. She could get cranky, she could get different things, and I know how to get into that space. And I realized, hey, I didn't do anything.
Right.
This is not my fault or my response. Well, it's kind of my fault because I dropped it on her head by mistake. I was trying to hold it, whatever. But but I realized, hey, go into this mode to love well, right?
Right.
And how do you love well? You understand what the people need, regardless of what you're seeing.
And it gives you grace for your partner because you're going, they're not on their normal self right now.
Yeah, and
And,
it's a temporary thing. Just give her space.
yeah,
And
absolutely.
I've been married almost 25 years, and this is a cool thing.
Yeah.
This hasn't always been there. I think it's important for people if they can get that earlier on. It'll bring a lot of fruit in their marriage.
Oh, absolutely. Many of us are trying to learn this looking back at all some of the stupid things we've done and stupid things we've said. And if you can learn this in the early years of marriage, it makes for a much smoother path.
Yeah,
Yeah, for sure. Well,
brings us
guys,
a lot more joy.
Jim, it's been great having you on as one of my guinea pigs in terms of some of the individual coaching that I do with guys. And yeah, it's been a pleasure. Thank you for your vulnerability. Thank you for your honesty. Again, if you want to connect with me, my email is bandofbrothers.care at gmail.com, bandofbrothers.care at gmail.com. We'll do recovery coaching. We might dip into marriage coaching. We might do some life coaching. But we have a good time, I think, right, Jim?
Yeah, and I think it's important people understand there's different things that you can do.
Yeah.
And I've said that to some of my friends recently. You have many skill sets because people say my need or my response, my reaction to the world, like what Matt Dobbs says, porn is not your problem; it's your favorite solution.
Yeah.
And it could be other things besides porn that you're very good at.
Yeah. Oh, thank you, buddy. All right, guys. Have a great rest of your day for all you Finding Traction listeners, and we'll see you on the other side.